Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Viewer Arena, the video series in which you submit your replays to me, and I cast them and upload them to YouTube. And yeah, this is going to be a semi-special kind of episode of Viewer Arena. I'm going to be casting slash analyzing this gameplay because I was asked by this guy to analyze, or it's ChaosVector who asked me to analyze this. He asked me to analyze his game and point out mistakes and flaws that he does. So I'll point them out as it goes as a PvT on Battleship Vestige. First mistake, right here. Walling off versus Terran. Protoss versus Terran. As a Protoss, you really don't need to wall off versus Terran. You can wall off, but walling off versus Terran can really hurt you a lot more than it can help you. First of all, it can delay your pylon or your probe so you get supply blocked. It can do all that. It can mess up your timing, which that's not that big of a deal, but it can still happen and it is annoying. Another thing it can do, when you completely wall off, all Terran units are ranged units. There are no melee Terran units. So they can just sit down on the low ground and shoot your wall. But if you put all your buildings near your nexus, they have to walk up your ramp and then shoot them. So your buildings can get kited if they have a, air unit to spot for them, if they have like a barracks or something like that. So if you put all of your buildings right on the ledge, you're more likely to get sniped by tanks, marines, anything. And if you wall off with a zealot, they can just cut you on the ramp because you have to still run to them. Like it doesn't do as much for you as, say, walling off versus Zerg does. You always want to wall off versus Zerg because Ling counterattacks and Ling early pushes. You really want to wall off versus Zerg, but versus Protoss and versus Terran, I don't wall off versus them. I wall off versus Zerg though. So continuing, not that big of a deal, but it's something you want to change because it can lose you certain games. And I'll point it out if it happens. It can lead to certain behaviors which is not good, and it can screw you over like when you verse drops because you get choke pointed. I like the fact that you scout, although I'm not sure if it's entirely needed because I don't know if you're going to change your strategy based on what you see. And this early on, I don't know if you know Terran builds to even know what it means. And this early on, you're not going to know what he's doing. If, for example, you see an early gas, he might be getting out a Reaper, he might be going for Factory. I don't know if you know all that. If you do, good. Keep scouting. It's a good habit to get into, especially when you get to the higher leagues. So back at your base, you have your gateway going. You're chrono boosting out workers, which is good. Your chronos are getting a little high, but chronos aren't that important in the Bronze League. So I'll let that go. You're scouting around his base. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing with the 2 barracks wall off. Not too sure. It's a little peculiar, but whatever. The production tab, he's making this. You block his gas, which not too useful. You look like you're forgetting your cyber core, probably because you're microing your probe down here. So that's not microing your probe is not as important as getting at your cyber core. Like, look how delayed your cyber core is right now. You're at over 300, almost 400 minerals. Your cyber core is extremely delayed right now. Did you double gas block him? What? How did your money go back down? Oh, you just put a bunch of probes in. That's another mistake. Do not. Okay. Your cyber core is extremely late right now. Your cyber core is probably almost 30 seconds late because you were microing in his base. And microing in his base, what has it really gotten you? It hasn't really done anything for you. You canceled, I believe you canceled the gas. All you did was just run around. You didn't see anything extra. All he was doing was getting out 2 barracks, which you already knew when you walked in. It really just hurt you. It delayed your zealot. Your supply block now because you forgot a pylon. You have so much money that you just put in, 4 probes into production queue, which is never a good thing. You should never in the early game be able to make that many probes. So instead of microing your probe in his base, instead focus on just staying at home, doing your stuff. Microing in his base is something for when your multitasking is much better. Do you use hotkeys? It does not appear that you use hotkeys. Hotkeys are a very, very good thing as well. Just, for example, what I do This is just kind of, you don't have to do this. I put my Nexus, if you press Shift 4, it'll put the Nexus, you just press 4 and it selects your Nexus. And then you go 4E and make probes. Their buttons are right next to each other, that's why I do it. It can really help with your multitasking, and if you double click it, it will bring you back to this building. Like, I can't do it in the game, obviously, right now, but whatever. Let's continue. So your cyber core is extremely delayed, and you're supply blocked, and you forgot a pylon. So you really want to be building your gas on 15, which the build you're going for, you're going for a 4-gate. That's what it seems like you went for in this game. Your 4-gate's going to be very delayed. You want to get the assimilator on 15, and you want to get the pylon on 16. And you could have done that with the money that you have here. So just some smoothing out issues that you need to work on. But you are a Bronze League player, so again, it's just stuff you need to work on. Your timing. You really should have putting your pylon over here again. Honestly, because you're supply blocked, your goal is just to get unsupply blocked as soon as possible. I recommend putting your pylon right here, your 16 pylon right here, because then you can warp in and stop drops, and it's quick, so you don't get supply blocked, so you don't have to run all the way around your base and come over here. So you're now going to be supply blocked for a long time. And your cyber core, halfway finished, although he's not playing too much better. He's got 2 racks out, which if you scout 2 racks means he's probably going to be pretty aggressive. Your pylon finally finishes. Start another zealot. I like the second zealot. Your gas is so late that your warp gate is going... Oh, why am I lagging? Your warp gate is going to be delayed because you did not properly time your gas. If you get it on 15 and put 3 in immediately, you got a second gas. If you get... Which isn't that great, but... I don't know why you get it this early. If you get your assimilator on 15 and put 3 in the gas, you will have right around 100 gas. So you'll have right around 100 gas when your cybercore finishes. So now your warp gate is even more delayed. So your 4-gate push is going to be extremely late. You're sending out another probe to go build a proxy pylon. A little bit early. Quite a bit early, actually. So you got 2 zealots out. Making more probes, which is good. I haven't noticed if you missed any probes, but because you are at, how many probes are you at? 18 probes. That means you're probably like 1 behind-ish. So, but your chronos are making up for it. You're not chrono boosting anything either. If you're gonna 4-gate, oh, there you go. You're chrono boosting out the cyber core. You really want to be adding on the gates. Oh, there we go. Although you shouldn't be able to make all 3 at once. You should build 1, and then a little bit later 2, then a little bit later the 3rd one, because you shouldn't have that much money in the bank. I like the placement of this proxy pylon for the 4-gate. Obviously, I've watched this replay in advance, that's how I know he's doing a 4-gate. Getting out a Stalker, very good choice. Supply blocked again. For your right before you get supply blocked in 26, you want to get your pylon for this out at 22. 22 is kind of the perfect time for it. And if you're going a 4-gate, which you are going, build specifically, you want to cut probes at 20. Like, as soon as you have 20 probes and you're at 20 supply, you haven't built anything yet. I believe it's 20. You want to stop at 20 probes, and then you just spend all your money on units. But that's just kind of build-specific stuff. I'm not sure if you're going an exact 4-gate or you're just using a 4-gate to apply some early pressure. But anyway, whatever. That's kind of just minor things. To not get supply blocked in 26, you really want to build it on 22. 22 is kind of... You get out 2 probes at the time, and you can add on another unit, and it just about supply blocks you, but you get unsupply blocked like a second later. So you really want to build that on 22. You put 3 workers in this gas, which is good. I'm not sure what you're going to use that gas on. You got the second assimilator. What are you going to use the gas for? I'm not too particularly sure yet. Oh, you're getting on a sentry, which, depending on your level of, like, how good you are with force fields, I don't know if that's a good choice. Stalkers might be a better option. Not going to get supply blocked here. Good job. If you're going to do a 4-gate push, you really want to have your units down at the proxy when your 4-gate, when your units warp in. It'll just save you more time. I believe 4-gates hit it around 5:40, and right now you are almost a full minute late. You're going to be probably a full minute late. So you really want to move these units down right now. Are you going to do that right now? Probably 1 to 5 seconds ago. So now your warp gate finishes, and you're making the warp gates, and you finally send the units, and you warp in at your proxy, and you are not macroing anything right now. You are not making probes right now. You have the money to make probes, honestly. You just warped in 4 units, and you have enough to make more probes, and you're very heavy on gas. So you really didn't need, looking at your build again, you really didn't need that second gas, because you're at 300 gas right now. Those guys could be mining minerals, or you could have taken an expansion with that money that you would have gotten. You had on the pylon, good. You might get supply blocked if you don't add on a pylon soon, because you're producing on 4 gates. So your units run down here. Really, this 4 gate is not going to work. And it looks like if you pushed out now, I don't know if you scouted the 2 racks, but because he has 2 racks, he's probably going to be able to hold your 4 gate, particularly if it's this late. So it's 7:30 now. You're not chrono boosting out your warp gates, which, if you're going to do just a straight 4 gate, oh, you take everyone out of gas. I guess you took my advice to heart. You took all of your units out of gas. Not sure why. You had a lot of gas, but you still want some gas production in case you want to follow up. So now you move out with this. You got the sentry. Oh, you use hotkeys for your army. 5 stalkers, a 6 Allison sentry. I like that. That's very good. It'll allow you to micro better. You would have probably have done better. Just you don't want to push this. This was a bad engagement for you. You're charging up this ramp. With that many Marines, you're just gonna get devastated right now. Your zealots aren't in the front. You really wanted to pull back in this engagement. This will not go well for you. You will not break through this. And he's expanding behind it. So now he just held off your 4 gate, and he's expanding. So now he's ahead. You have not taken an expansion yet, despite having plenty of money for this. And another mistake. That 4 gate got held off pretty convincingly. Let's look at the units lost tab. He really didn't lose that much. You lost your whole army and are now lost 5 times more than he has. If your 4 gate fails like this, you're behind, especially if you scout. Oh, you blocked his command center, which I guess that's okay. It's good, delays him a little bit, but his Marines are going to kill it off though. If the push doesn't work, especially with this build, if you're going to continue with this build, which I imagine you probably will, if it fails like this, and he's expanding, and he has all these units, what you really want to do is just abandon this push, stop pushing into his army, stop macroing down here, and focus back at home and just macro up, because you're behind now. And he's definitively ahead. I believe he's starting an upgrade. Nope, no one's making anything except you're making a pylon. He's forgetting his SCVs. He's not playing perfect. Also, another thing, your probes, you're going to want to put them back into gas. You're adding on a Twilight, which you might be going for Blink, you might be going for Charge. Charge would be a very good idea versus these heavy Marine style. Although Robo might suit you better because you can get out Colossus, and because he's going for such a heavy bio style, Colossus would devastate him. Another thing you're going to want to do, it's 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Even with a 4 gate, if you haven't won with a 4 gate by almost the 10-minute mark, expand. You need to expand. You really, really need to expand, because right now he's ahead of you in supply, and if he moves out right now, you're going to have a very tough time defending it, especially if he micros. His production tab, he's making it into a planetary, which that's a mistake. Adding on a factory, adding on a barracks, he's going to have more production facilities than you. So he's just going to be out macroing you. So we're going to continue the game. This game's a very long game, so I definitely need to keep it going. So we're going to speed it up a little bit. You're macroing over at this pylon over here. I think you could have made units earlier, but you might be saving up money to get a full warp in at once, which not advisable. Okay, you really don't want to. This push, had you had charge, sure, you would have won this push had you had charge, but you didn't. So, are you getting it? Nope, you're getting out of Forge. I don't know what you were doing with the Twilight. Maybe we'll see in a minute. Adding on a Forge, you might get out an upgrade. That'd be good. But with this planetary right now, this is not a good push. And you charge in. You get some Marine kills, I'll give you that. And you lose everything. And now you are very, very far down in supply. Units lost tab, not looking good for you. This is when you really need to abandon this push. Like, this aggression is not working for you. You really need to macro up. You know he has a lot of Marines. And whenever you see a Terran going mass Marine, go Robo, get out Colossus. Because Colossus will wreck him. One Colossus with a bunch of Zealots, you will literally demolish him. Especially if you get an upgrade. So he's going Marine Tank. Which Immortals come out of the Robo 2. Oh, you expanded. That's good. Although your expansion is very late. You definitely want to expand. You had the money for a long time. You wanted to expand probably back at the 7-8 minute mark, but you're now 4 minutes behind an expansion. So expand earlier. Are you making more probes? No, you're not, and you're putting them into base there. So you want to be making more probes. You've kind of stopped the aggression, and you shouldn't have cut probes for this long. Sorry, I've been just kind of going on about things that you need to work on, but yeah. Continue, always make probes. Until you hit 200 supply, always make probes. Like, always. You want to have, he's getting way ahead of you in the unit, like the harvester count. He is above you by 17. And if you want to know the way to get out of Bronze League and get into Silver, make probes, like, all the time. Like, what I want you to do when you play your 1v1 games, focus primarily on making more harvesters than them. Just have more probes than them. That needs to be, make that a primary goal of yours, to always have more workers than them. If you always have more workers than them, you'll have more income than them. When you have more income than them, you have the freedom to make whatever unit you want to do. Even if you don't spend all your money right now, just have a large income. Because right now in the income state, like income tab, he's way ahead of you. He's making much more money than you at a time, which means he can make more stuff than you. When he can make more stuff than you, you will lose. So I don't know why you have these Zealots over here. Again, abandon this push if it doesn't work. Abandon this push, go back home and macro. I like how you're making workers out of here, and you're making workers out of here. Ooh, you're even rallying them down here. Oh, that's very smart. Good job, props for that. Now just keep up the probe production. Always have probes making, always. Don't ever forget, chrono boost out, you don't need to chrono boost out probes. Okay, another thing. This is kind of a minor thing. Transfer some of these workers, because these mineral patches are running out. Transfer maybe 3 or 4, 4 or 5. Get ideally as close to 16 out of 24 as possible, because that's the most optimal way. And this base will get you more income, because this is going to run out soon. This is fully there. So you'll get more income if you saturate this rather than this, but keep workers here. So transfer your workers too, but I like the way that you rallied your Nexus. Good job for that. Another thing, okay, that's not so great. Fully filling up your Nexus queue to have less money is not actually spending your money. That doesn't actually count. But still, okay. You add on a Robo, which is very smart. You're adding on an upgrade. I like that. I like the fact you're getting upgrades. Very good job. You're getting out DTs, because you made a DT shrine. DTs can definitely help you. I believe you were DT harassing down here, and that's why he built the turrets. Sorry, I gotta take a drink of my beverage, because I've been talking a lot. So now that DT harass is not going to work. You know he has tanks now. So really, when you read tanks, this is not so much a reading thing. Like, I'm not going to so much teach you or try and kind of analyze your reads. Your reads aren't quite as important. You got a Stargate, which that's not always the worst choice. Stargate, I like to use Voids versus tanks, but I believe Immortals would be better because they're both out of the Robo. You could have saved some money. You aren't really teching, and you're not really making units right now. Like, your warp gates are perfectly up and ready to go. And you have the supply, it's just you're not making them. Like, even if you just make Zealots, Zealots, especially with charge, will do wonders versus, I'm not sure if you're spending it on DTs, but if the DT harass doesn't work, you're not going to want to do DT harass much more because they're so expensive. You don't want to, you're just going to throw away money. Like, if you look at units lost tab, you are way behind in units lost tab. Way behind. In terms of workers, you're kind of catching up. Not sure if he's still making workers. Yes, he is. He's actually doing very good with that. He's making a ton of workers, although he's not adding on gas. again, this DT harass, if it doesn't work right now, just, I think you're trying, okay, here's another problem I've seen. I think you're trying to harass so much that your macro is slipping. I think you're prioritizing harassing and attacking for macroing. Macroing, especially in the Bronze League, 9 times out of 10 will win you games more so than DT harass. Because he can get detection. He has detection now. DT harass will only work once. And maybe twice, depends on the base. But right now, if you look at his units, he has 54 Marines, 4 Marauders, and 3 tanks. You have 4 Zealots and a DT. If he moves out right now, you are beyond screwed. Had you been macroing back behind this, you could probably have maybe 16 Zealots, couple Stalkers. You could add on Colossus Tech. You have a lot of money. Get your 2 gases. If you would have taken your 2 gases, you could have had Colossus Tech, adding on an upgrade, get out of Colossus. And that's just macroing. And then if you would have moved out, you could have easily have beaten his army. Especially if you kept getting upgrades. I believe you're getting enough. Nope, you're just adding on Stargate. So, okay, I'm sorry I'm just bringing up so many problems, but there's a lot of things you can fix. And I think if you fix half of these, you'll get into silver. Getting into silver from bronze isn't too difficult, but yeah, okay. I'm just going to continue playing. You're not producing out of your Robo facility or your Stargate, so I'm not exactly sure why you ever got it. You're not producing, you have not gotten anything out of Twilight. You seem to be just getting everything so that you can get everything. I get the Twilight because you wanted to get DTs. You tried it again, and you get maybe 5 kills. And, again, it's not doing much for you because it's killing your macro. So you're just trying it again. You're going to get maybe 1 kill. Oh, wait. Oh, nope, he scans again. So you're forcing scans out of him, which I'm not sure if that's your intent, but you're not producing anything right now other than a fleet beacon. Not sure why you're getting a fleet beacon right now. You're going pretty much every single tech on 2 bases. And if you look at supply, he's way ahead of you. Why? Because he's prioritizing macro rather than just DT harass. He's way ahead of you because he's been producing out of his buildings, albeit he's not doing it perfectly, but you could be easily at 160 supply too. In Protoss, had you gotten out Colossus and everything, because he has no medevacs, you could have easily have won this game. Like, it looks like the difference between you two is crazy, and that's because it is, because he's been macroing. Macroing will win you, especially in the Bronze League, will win you 90. It'll win, as soon as you get down making a ton of workers and always producing out of your gateways, and always adding on more gateways, you'll get into gold. Like, that's how you get into gold, macro. DT harass will not get you into silver. It'll win you some games, but it's not consistent enough to get you into silver. Now, continuing. You're adding on your 2 assimilators, adding on more probes, good job. Adding on probes is always a good idea. Sent the workers a little too early, but whatever. Adding on level 1 air upgrades, fleet beacons out, you're adding on carriers. Again, not the best tech choice simply because you don't have the gas for this. You could be building Zealots right now, which Zealots do very well versus Bio. You're just not producing. That's literally the main flaw of your gameplay right now. Like, I'm saying all these problems you're having. Oh, you're taking a third. Very good job. Taking the gas. You're recognizing that you need more gas. Good job. He has not taken a third yet, so you will be a little bit ahead pretty soon in terms of income. Right now, you're right about even, which is good. You caught up in the harvesters. Good job. You finally caught up in harvesters. Very good. Production. Carriers, not the best choice versus this army. Just because he's getting out upgrades right now. He's about to be on 2-2. And 2-2 Marines will not... You cannot fight, like worth it. It's not worth it to go carriers versus Marines. Marines will always be more economical than carriers. So there's 2 big problems in your play right now. There's several pretty big flaws in your game plan. I'm just going to keep going simply because this game is really, really long. So, really, really long. This game is... I'm not going to tell you how long it is, but it's well over 35 minutes long. I might have to speed through some of it. He's getting a 3rd CC. Oh, nice. You're denying it with a zealot. That's a lot of workers, a lot of workers, a lot of workers. Zealot deny. The problem is, okay, I can kind of see I can see several, not just two, I can see several problems with your gameplay. You're not producing out of all your things that you've built. You're not producing out of your robo, you're not getting upgrades from your twilight, you're forgetting to add on upgrades from your forge. You've built all this stuff, but you're just not using it. You're adding on a ton of pylons, and you have all these gates and all this money. You could add on more gates. You're not macroing with your stuff. You need to be if you're gonna build a robo, use the robo. If you're gonna build the Stargate, use the Stargate. Always use the Stargate. Don't just build it and then not use it. I'm guilty of this problem too, but you really want to use all of your buildings to macro up. Like right now, you are 80 supply down on your opponent, and you're making a mothership from the mothership core. You're making mass carrier and mothership. Not this. I'm not even sure if this is like. I don't know what this build is. Okay, he went mass reaper. I don't get it. He's just about to have 3/3 upgrades. Holy crap! So you're behind in upgrades, but upgrades really in the Bronze League aren't that important. It's better just to have more upgrades. So you're about to lose all your workers here. Pretty good reaction time. You might lose your Nexus though. You're about to lose the Nexus. You're about to lose, and you just showed your carriers. Good job. Whatever. Showing your carriers doesn't really matter. There's not much you can do. He's maxed out. Adding on Terran upgrade. So you're moving out right now with only 4 carriers. Carriers in 1v1 are not a very good idea, especially versus Mass Marine. 3/3 Mass Marine with Stim Pack and Combat Shield. Just not a good idea in general. Just not a good idea. Don't go Mass Carrier. I suggest builds aren't very important, but carriers are just too expensive. You have a ton of money right now. You could be building a ton of zealots, and zealots would just help you so much. Just if you added on. Okay, at the end of this game, I'm just going to keep watching. I'm going to tell you all of the things that you need to work on at the end of the game. I keep saying I'm going to keep watching, but oh my god, like this is a long game. Finally getting medevacs. Good job, Terran player. You're not okay. You're adding on more carriers. Okay, that's good. If you're gonna go for carrier, you need a lot of carriers, especially for this versus this army. Maybe I don't know. Maybe carriers are very good. Oh wait, you have the mothership, but this army might actually be pretty decent versus them, especially if you keep denying these drops. What is he doing? Okay. Your motherships are gonna die probably. Time warped him. Good job, actually. That was a pretty good engagement, actually. But this whole fight was based around, I hope he doesn't move out. Like, that's kind of what it came down to. And now you're about to lose all your carriers. And that's all your carriers. Let's look at units lost tab. Pretty much astronomical right now. You're at over 15,000 lost. So, and you're not rallying your Nexus. Not the worst thing in the world, but obviously you want to work on that. Carriers, again, not the best choice versus them. This army is just way too expensive. If he moves out at any point in the next 2 minutes, he'll just crush you before you get your mothership out. You're adding on another base to go up to 4th base, which is pretty late. 30 minutes is definitely late for a 4th base. He's not really macroing right now, and if he is, I have an... Oh, there we go. Now he's starting to macro up. What you need more production facilities. If you're going to go mass carrier, you're going to want like 5 Stargates at least. You're not transferring your workers. You probably could transfer some of them down. Oh, never mind. That's fully saturated. Transferring your workers, probably a good idea. They're just kind of sitting around not doing anything right now. If you're going to go for carrier, you need more production facilities. So okay, again, I'm just going to go through all the things I want you to work on at the end of the game. We're going to speed up a bit more, simply because this game is very, very long, as I have previously said. So this is a pretty army value intensive army. Like, holy crap, mass carrier. Adding on 3 carriers at a time. Did you get out the carrier upgrade? I don't know if you did. I think he did. So, again, Mass Carrier, I would encourage you to shy away from that. It's just, if you look at this, you're relying on him being passive. He's been passive for so long. But your average player would not be this passive. Your average player, once they hit 200, they'll just move out. Especially once you get into the higher leagues, you're not going to have this much time. So try not to build Mass Carrier. Mass Carrier will not work for you very well. So now, actually, you're pretty high in supply. This army is looking... Oop, 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 oop. You just lost... Did you just... Okay, I was about to say. Hope you lost your whole base. Now you're going out and killing them, and you're killing his base, and you time warp him, but you're about to lose all your things because you just unvisioned them. And did you actually win this? What? Well, you won that. Good job. You crushed his whole army somehow with Mass Carrier, but yeah, I think it might just become a base race kind of thing where you just have to destroy all structures because he refuses to leave. I don't even know, but okay, I'm just going to tell you all the problems at the end. Again, I've been going over them this whole time, but yeah. Oh, geez. This army might actually counter you, especially if he snipes your mothership. Crap. He still has quite a bit of supply. If he gets that mothership... Oh, nope. You win. So, yeah, you win this game with literally probably the most powerful army you can ever have, Mass Carrier and a mothership. Holy crap. So, he GG's out, and you win the game. No, wait. Oh, never mind. I read that wrong. I thought you left. I'm like, dude, why'd you leave? You were like up by 100 supply. So, big problems I saw with your gameplay. Your build... Okay, let's just go back to the basics. You weren't producing enough workers. You were behind on workers almost the whole game until now, obviously, because you killed everything he has. Although you only have 6 workers right now. Big problems, again, always produce workers. Always produce workers. All the time. You can never have enough. Until you hit like 80 workers, you don't have enough workers. You can always get more because you can just keep expanding around the map. And another thing, you're prioritizing harassment over micro, you are prioritizing micro over macro. Micro will not win you games in the Bronze League because your micro is probably not good enough to win you the game outright. So macro is just the much safer bet because if you just have more stuff than him, it's a lot harder for him to win. Just having more stuff than him is how you get to the Silver League. Expand earlier. That's another problem. Expand earlier. You always had the money for it. Make more production facilities because obviously your start gates are pretty good. You had 3. But gateways, you did not macro out of your gateways ever. You have so much money. You could have made panic zealots and just flooded his base with zealots. Had you just added on like 5 more gates and just 5 or 6 more gates, you could have added 10 gates on more. Just flood zealots' base. Just always produce out of all your structures. Doesn't matter what it is right now. Just focus on getting to 200 supply as fast as you can. With getting unit composition really doesn't matter in Bronze League. As you showed, you can go Mass Carrier versus Marine, although I don't recommend it because players will not be this passive. Don't go Mass Carrier. Stop. Don't do that. No one will be passive enough to where you can build this except for this guy. Just build more gateways, make a large army faster. Focus on using all your buildings. Try and make... I don't even care if you make immortals for no reason. Just focus on getting to 200 supply as fast as you can. Make probes all the time. When your money gets high, add on more gates. Just macro in general. I'm sorry that's so specific, so general, and just general. But your macro at present, if you fix your macro and you build out of your gateways and you build out of your robo and you add on upgrades aren't that important, but they definitely help. and you just expand more often. I'm talking like expand every like 7 minutes, probably expand to your natural at say 7 minutes, then your third at 14, then fourth at 21. Just use that as a rule of thumb. At least every 7 minutes you want to be expanding ish. I just kind of made that rule up. But 7 minutes sounds pretty reasonable. So if you expand every 7 minutes, you'll be running out of minerals, and then, yeah. So by 14 minutes, you want to be on 3 bases. You were on 3 bases at like 20 minutes, so that's not that great. So focus on building things. Don't focus so much on your DT harass. Don't focus so much on your warp prism harass. That won't win you out of the Bronze League. So focus instead. Look at your base all the time. Like, I want you to look at your base and look at the minimap. Look at look at your base. Look at your minimap. Like, focus on your base. Try not to micro so much, which sounds weird, but just try, and especially because you're Protoss, just try and focus on macro. If you focus on macro, I guarantee you'll get out of Bronze League. I guarantee it. And then when you get into silver and gold, especially gold, you can start working on that micro when you have your macro down pretty well. Because then you can multitask. You learn how to multitask. But for now, focus on your macro. Focus on making more gateways, producing out of those gateways, making your stargates if you're going to make carriers. If you really want to make carriers, make sure you're chrono boosting them out. Chrono boost is actually, on second thought, isn't that important. Like, you had 3 carriers in each one, and you still had 5,000 minerals. You could have gotten, like, so much more stuff. You could have won this game 20 minutes ago had you macroed better. So, you're doing pretty well. I mean, obviously, you're doing pretty well for a Bronze Leaguer. I mean, obviously, you beat this guy. This guy was macroing. But there's definitely a lot of stuff you can improve on. Macro, build more gateways. Focus on macro. Don't focus so much on your DT harass. It didn't really do much for you. At the end of the day, you still lost a lot of units until he lost soul base. So, message me in-game if you want to practice. Message me on YouTube, whatever. And I'll help you some more if you want me to. So, yeah. What the heck? So message me some more if you want practice, stuff like that. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all next time. Submit your replays to me at logertsc2@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. If you watch this whole thing, that's actually very impressive. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all next time.